As a newer coach, that's where most of your focus is. Like 80% of your focus should be there. And you're going to want to identify health coaches. If you're new or if you're like a senior coach or a manager, you're going to want to identify potential health coaches. But your job is not to go into team building yet. We need to get you with 20 or 30 clients first. If you find somebody who's a good fit for the business, instead of you taking on the responsibility, what should you do? Mentor. Bring in your mentor. Don't feel like you have to do all that stuff yet. We want you to get good at coaching first before you start teaching others how to coach. The second two things that you need to do, number 3 and 4, are acquiring health coaches and supporting health coaches. It's a no-brainer. That's all we do in this business to move it forward. So once you become a business coach, you need to do all 4. Okay? So what we want to do is we're going to look at health coach acquisition, health coach support. So there's 4 things: client acquisition, client support, health coach acquisition, health coach support. So now that you've looked at your calendar, we want to have a strategy for how do you manage that time. And one of the things I think it's important is to keep balance. It's not a good idea to work from 8 a.m. in the morning till 1 a.m. at night. True or false? True. What besides your health is going to be paying the price?
Everything in your life.
Your relationships, your family, and guess what? Your business is going to pay a price too. You know why? Because you're going to set an example that nobody wants to follow. If you want to build a team, you have to be attractive. And being attractive means being in balance. And if you make it look hard and you're working your tail off and you're killing yourself, no one is going to want to follow you. So you got to create store hours. Store hours mean you're your own boss. So that means you got to have a start time and an end time. And if you don't have an end time, you're going to burn yourself out. And that's what we don't want. We don't want people to, because they can't manage themselves, burn themselves out, and then we lose having a great health coach who could help hundreds and hundreds of people. So you got to have a start and a stop time. The biggest mistake that people make with time management, you know what it is? Multitasking. Multitasking. People think it's a... How many of you know somebody who are very proud that they're a multitasker? I'm a proud multitasker.
Yeah.
Now, multitasking is the kiss of death for time management because it diffuses your focus, diffuses your energy instead of concentrating your energy. And a great example of that is I did this at Sundance is I had 6 people come up on stage and I said, okay, what you want to do is you want to stay focused with the project that you're working on 100%. If you're doing customer support, you want to be 100% focused on customer support, not customer support and health coach acquisition and doing your emails and talking to your kids. You can't do all these things at once. You throw these balls up in the air, you drop a lot of balls. So what you need to do is you need to stay 100% focused on what you're doing, get it complete to a stop point and say, okay, I'm going to stop doing this project and now I'm going to work on this project and I'm going to move this project forward. And what we call that is focused energy time. And when you do that, you build momentum much quicker and you get better quicker. Okay? So the second thing, and Pat talked about this earlier, it's called blocking time. Blocking time means you set an appointment with yourself for some of those major activities. Coaching support, client acquisition. You set block of hours, specific amount of time in your day, and you carve it out, and there's something called prime time. And write this down. Prime time is that window of time where you have the highest probability of connecting with people. And what you want to do is you want to respect and honor prime time. You do not want to do busy work, admin work, email, internet stuff during prime time. That's the killer. So blocking time means you have to put it on your calendar, and just like you do with your hair appointment or your doctor's appointment, is you got to keep that appointment with yourself. Okay? And when I first started, I actually had a full-time job already. It was a business that I was building. And as I was building this business, I started Take Shape for Life on the side, and I was doing it part-time, 15, 20 hours a week. And so at first, I didn't have a lot of big blocks because I was already running another company. So I didn't have any big blocks. I had to squeeze out a half hour here, a half hour there. Does that make sense? Yeah. How many of you, I call that kind of like windows of opportunities. You're looking for those little windows where you can grab a little Take Shape for Life opportunities. And so one little technique that worked well for me, and a lot of you may have heard it before, it's the 10-penny rule. And what you do is you took 10 pennies in your left pocket. So we all know if you have a goal to talk to 10 people a day, You might be anywhere. You could be at the grocery store, you could be get your laundry, you could be talking to a client in a different company or whatever. But what you want to do is reach out and tap on somebody and plant that seed with 10 people. So every time you talk to somebody, you take the penny out of this pocket and you put it in this pocket. And the goal is, by the end of the day, is to transfer those 10 pennies to the other pocket. And that means that you accomplished your goal for the day. It doesn't matter how many said yes or no, but you just planted a lot of seeds. Once I started building, so that worked very well for the first maybe 6 months or so. And then as I started having coaches come on board, then I needed to balance my time between client planting seeds and coaching and planting seeds for coaches, right? So what I did is I shifted to the 3, 3, and 3 strategy. And 3, 3, and 3 stands for this. I talk to 3 of my current clients every day, 3 health coaches that are on my team supporting them every day, and 3 prospects every day. And by doing that, it's kind of like moving the business forward. All sections of my business keep moving forward, moving it forward every day, baby steps. And that's a real manageable way to do it if you don't have big blocks of time. Another thing you can do is look for those windows of opportunities. How many of you know somebody who drives and they're stuck in traffic and they're in commute? What a great time for you to do some personal development. What a great time for you to have your call list and making calls to your 100 list or checking in with your clients. You can use a lot of time where you can carve out a little bit of time, or maybe it's a lunch break. Maybe you're on lunch break and you've got a chance to do a little bit of education on the TTS site where you watch a video for 15 minutes. So you can carve out some time here and there, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or even when you're out and about. When you're out and about, it's amazing on how much you can do to move your business forward, just out there running out errands. And I know one thing that a lot of the global directors teach is, once you start getting your business and you actually start having a lot of clients, what you don't want to do is get stuck staying home. You got to get yourself out there, because that's where the new people are. How many of you know what I mean? Getting out of the house can be a great way to go out and meet people and move your business forward. Now, because I'm full-time, I use what we call focus days. I block half of the day on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for coaching, and that's in the afternoon. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, the whole day is for prospecting and business building. This is when I'm going out in the field, I'm bringing on new coaches, new health professionals. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my revenue generating days, and then Mondays and Fridays for planning and kind of follow-ups. I do that at the end of the week, the beginning of the week and the end of the week. So I plan my week at the beginning, I wrap up my week at the end, and I have these days that I'm working on these big chunks, like 3, 4, 5 hours on these specific areas. And then you want to set up monitoring and accountability calls, because like I said, it takes a different set of skills to take your business from executive director with volume to executive director with structure. So you really lean on your mentors and make sure that they help you and keep you accountable and make those adjustments along the way. Does anyone know what percentage of the time the Apollo astronauts were off course when they were on the way to the moon? 98% of the time they were off course. Because they're constantly having to readjust. And that's what this business is. It's a constant readjusting, and that's why your mentor is there for you. All right, so the real key to growing your business is duplication. If you want to have this business grow, you have to keep it simple, and Pat and Stan talked about this earlier. Use the tools. You got to keep it simple. And the template for this business is you don't want people to say, I can do that. You got to keep it so simple that they say, wow, that was easy, I can do that. You got to keep it brief enough so that they say, I've got time to do that. And you have to make it fun and keep it engaging enough that they say, I want to do it. So some of you that might be like me, where you're very detail-oriented and you like to get things perfect, one of the problems with that is if you take too much time and you take too much detail into it, what will happen is that people will say, I could never do it that way. That's too hard for me. I'm not that smart. I don't have that much time. So remember, sometimes you have to dumb it down, not so much because you can't do it, but because it's not in the best interest of everyone who's watching you. You got to make it simple, okay? So the number one thing you can do to ensure that your business duplicates is use the tools. Use the folder systems. Use the tracking sheets. Use the things that we've been teaching you today. And if you do that, your chances of success are much better, because what you're going to do is you're going to set the template so that the next generation can follow it. Even if you can do something fancy. Let's say you can use a fancy software program, but it's not a part of Take Shape for Life system. You're setting now a course of duplication that your team is going to invent the next fancy software system. And next thing you know, you've got somebody on your team who's invented their own Office in Motion. And then they're creating their own TTS website. And now you have a whole system that's dysfunctional. So you've got to use the tools, and that's why even like a health professional who may not be comfortable going out and cold calling or doing certain things like that, or holding a tasting, they don't need to do a 100 list. They've got a 5,000 list. They got 5,000 patients that are coming to them all the time. They don't need a 100, but why do they have to do it? So they can teach the coaches that are going to do it behind them. So the thing about this is you got to put aside your ego. You got to be humble enough to say, hey, show me how to do this. Trust the system. If you kind of hear this, if you go to the conferences and you ask people what makes you successful, how many of you ever heard, I followed the system? It's not a coincidence they say that over and over and over again. It's just like the 5-in-1 plan. You follow the 5-in-1 plan, you follow the B-Slim philosophy, you use the habits of health, you get to an optimal weight. If you read the business blueprint, you plug into the trainings, you work with your mentors, you use structural tension, you will create a business that's duplicatable. And by you doing it, you're setting the template for everyone else. So I want to encourage you, don't be shy. Reach out for help. So I'm so surprised how sometimes I hear people say, Craig, I didn't want to call you. I know how busy you are. Gosh, you don't understand. I mean, it's fun to help somebody lose 100 pounds, right? How many of you have somebody lose like significant weight and you feel like you made a big difference in their lives? It's hard to describe to somebody what that feels like. But I got to tell you, it's something special to help somebody save their house from going into foreclosure. It's something special to save somebody whose husband's been working in a job for 30 years and he's burning himself to the bone and he can barely drag himself out of bed every day. And you help them retire that person so they can bring their husband home. And they can travel the country in their motorhome and visit their family and their grandkids. It brings warmth to your heart to do that. So when I hear somebody say, Greg, I'm sorry to bug you, I know how busy you are, you guys have no idea. The global director that you're looking up to, they're waiting for somebody to raise their hand. They're waiting for somebody, not just to raise their hand, but to show up and be coachable and follow through. When they bounce you the ball, the biggest thing you can do to show respect is to do what they told you to do and bounce the ball back. And not only are you helping yourself, but you're also helping them, because by you being successful, you help raise them to the next level, and you're also setting a template and an example, because you're going to be the Roger Bannister, the guy who broke the 4-minute mile, and sometimes there's going to be someone watching you, and they're going to say, wow, she can do it, what? I can do it. So don't forget, there's always somebody watching. You're working hard not only to help other people get healthy, not only to help your dreams come true, but you're also setting the pace, because we got this big vision. We got to get America healthy. There's a lot of people out there that need us. All right? So we're done with my section.